You finally hit the number you've been chasing for years, $10,127. You check your bank app, expecting to feel like the Monopoly man, but instead, you just feel nauseous. This isn't the relief you were promised. It's a whole new kind of panic called loss aversion. When you had $50 to your name, you slept like a baby because you had absolutely nothing to lose. But now that $10,000 sits there like a fragile antique vase in a house full of toddlers. You suddenly see threats everywhere. The check engine light, the weird sound your fridge makes, or even your own impulse control. Psychologists call this the shift from survival mode to protection mode, and it turns your brain into a paranoid security guard. You're no longer fighting to get to zero. You're terrified of sliding back into the negative. It feels heavy because for the first time in your life, your money isn't a flowing river. It's a sitting duck. The anxiety is actually a good sign. It means your brain is realizing this isn't spending money anymore. Most people panic here and self-sabotage just to get back to the familiar feeling of being broke. You might feel the urge to do something with it just to stop staring at it. But this discomfort is the price of admission to the next level of wealth. Your identity is lagging behind your bank balance. You still see yourself as the person who needs that money for rent. That $10,000 is the first brick of a fortress, but right now, it just feels like a heavy rock you have to carry. You're in the uncanny valley of finance. Too much to be broke, too little to be rich, and exactly enough to be stressed. Take a deep breath and realize that this fear is just your brain rewiring itself for stability. You have crossed the line that 56% of Americans haven't, and that can feel lonely. The goal isn't to get rid of the anxiety. The goal is to get used to the weight. Stop checking the app every hour. The money is fine, and for the first time, so are you. Before this moment, money was like water in a shower. It flowed in and drained out immediately. You were excellent at managing the flow, timing your bills exactly to your paydays. But now you have built a pond, and your brain has no idea how to manage still water. This is why lottery winners go broke. They treat a stockpile like a flow and turn on the fire hose. You need to switch your operating system from transaction mode to asset mode. In transaction mode, money is a tool to solve today's problems: hunger, rent, gas. In asset mode, money is an employee that you verify is showing up for work. It's a boring shift because looking at a pond is much less exciting than riding a water slide. Your dopamine receptors are screaming for a purchase because spending feels like doing something. Saving feels like doing nothing. And in a hustle culture, doing nothing feels wrong. But the most productive thing a farmer can do after planting is to leave the damn seed alone. You have to learn to get your dopamine from the security of the number, not the velocity of the spending. Think of it like a library. You don't burn the books for heat. You keep them to get smarter. This $10,000 is not for spending. It is strictly for peace of mind and leverage. If you spend it, even on something sensible, you are firing your security team. The flow is for your expenses. The stock is for your freedom. Never cross the streams. That is how you blow up the Ghostbusters and your bank account. You are no longer just a worker bee. You are the keeper of the hive. Retrain your brain to see that unspent money is not wasted potential. It is stored energy. The moment you respect the pond, it starts to grow its own ecosystem. Let's do some napkin math that will change how you view your morning coffee. If you put that $10,000 into a high-yield savings account at 4.5%, it pays you roughly $37 a month. I know what you're thinking. Wow, Nate, 2 whole Chipotle burritos. I'm practically Elon Musk. But you're missing the point. Those are free burritos. For the first time in your life, you didn't have to trade your time or sweat for that lunch. That $37 is the salary of your first invisible employee who works 24/7/365 without a bathroom break. He doesn't call in sick. He doesn't complain about the coffee, and he never steals your stapler. This is the crossing the Rubicon moment where your money starts making money. Sure, it's a small employee right now, maybe just an intern fetching coffee money. But if you leave him alone, he hires an assistant, and then they hire a whole department. Compound interest is just a fancy word for your money having babies. Right now, you have one baby $37. If you kill it, spend it, it never grows up to buy you a house. This is why the rich get richer. They leave the babies alone long enough to start a civilization. You need to view that interest payment not as extra cash, but as seed corn. If you eat your seed corn, you will starve next winter. Set up the account to automatically reinvest that $37 so you never even see it. It's not $37. It's the proof of concept that the system can work for you. Once you taste passive income, even a tiny bite, you will essentially become addicted to freedom. You will stop asking, how much does this cost? And start asking, how many invisible employees do I have to fire to buy this? Respect the $37, because it's the only worker you have who will never quit on you. Here is the biggest lie your anxiety tells you. Cash is safe. You keep that $10,000 in your checking account because you want to see it, touch it, hug it. But while it sits there, a silent thief named inflation is picking the lock. If inflation is running at 3%, your safe $10,000 will only buy $9,700 worth of stuff next year. You didn't lose any dollar bills, but you lost $300 worth of buying power. It's like an ice cube sitting on the counter. It looks solid, but it's slowly turning into a puddle. The risk of investing is that you might lose money in the short term. The risk of not investing is that you will definitely lose value in the long term. One is a possibility. The other is a mathematical certainty. You are choosing this slow death because it feels safer than the roller coaster. But to build real wealth, you have to accept that volatility is the price of admission. That $10,000 in the S&P 500 might dip to $8,000 next month, which feels terrifying. But historically, over 30 years, it turns into $174,000. If you leave it in checking, it turns into the purchasing power of $4,000. So, which option is actually risky? The one that grows or the one that melts? You need to move that money into a place where it can defend itself. Think of cash as a soldier without armor. Investing puts him in a tank. Don't let your need for control destroy your future purchasing power. The market zigzags, but inflation only goes one way, down. Move the money today. The silent thief is already in the house. The most dangerous day of your financial life is the day you hit $10,000. Suddenly, your old reliable Honda Civic looks a little beat up. Your apartment feels a little small, and your IKEA furniture looks cheap. This is the Diderot Effect. Buying one nice thing makes you hate all your old things. You buy a new couch, and suddenly the rug looks like trash, so you buy a new rug. Then the curtains look wrong, and before you know it, you've spent the whole $10,000 redecorating. Your brain tricks you into thinking, I have $10,000. I can afford a $500 car payment. No, you can't. You have $10,000 once, but that payment hits you every month. This is how people turn a net worth landmark into a debt trap. You treat the milestone as a finish line to cross, rather than a foundation to build on. The urge to upgrade is not about quality. It's about signaling status to people who don't care. That $10,000 is FU money in training. Don't trade it for a depreciating BMW. If you spend it now, you aren't just spending the principal. You're killing the compound growth. A $30,000 car today actually costs you $300,000 in future retirement money. Every time you get the urge to splurge, ask yourself, is this worth $300,000? Lifestyle creep is the enemy of freedom. It eats your raise before it hits your account. You have to be weird. You have to be the person with $10,000 in the bank driving a beater. That gap between what you could buy and what you do buy is where wealth is created. Don't let your ego write checks your future self can't cash. Stay humble, keep your expenses low, and let the pile grow. You aren't protecting $10,000. You are protecting your future millionaire self. If you never invested another dime, this $10,000 could grow to $174,000 by retirement. But if you add just $200 a month, that's one less dinner out a week. It hits $470,000. You're standing at the controls of a rocket ship called escape velocity. The first stage of liftoff is the hardest. Gravity is pulling you down with everything it has. That's why the first $10,000 feels like a grind, while the next $10,000 feels automatic. You have done the heavy lifting. Now you just need to keep the throttle steady. This is the tipping point where the math starts to work in your favor. Don't look at the account balance. Look at the trajectory. You are building optionality, the ability to say no to a bad boss or a toxic situation. Money isn't about buying Ferraris. It's about buying your autonomy. In 30 years, you won't remember the shoes you didn't buy, but you will definitely remember the day you realized you were free. This $10,000 is your declaration of independence. Protect it, invest it, and ignore the noise of the get-rich-quick crowd. You're playing the long game, and the long game is the only one that matters. Give your future self a high five, because you just changed your family tree. The anxiety you felt in Chapter 1, that was just the fuel burning to get you to orbit. You've reached the tipping point. Now enjoy the ride. Welcome to the Club of Owners.